The day I first met Evan, the student Clara Reed was sponsoring, I had just run to catch a train in my good shoes to get a contract signed. Seeing me a bit out of breath, Evan gave me a critical look, his expression clearly disapproving. "Clara, is this your top executive assistant? He looks like he just got out of bed. Maybe he's the one who closes deals with his looks?" It was a difficult moment to maintain my professional calm. My expression almost slipped. I'm known for working incredibly hard. Recruiters have offered me huge salaries to leave, and here was someone suggesting I was just the boss's personal favorite. I turned and dialed a number. "Dad, I'm finished with this learning the business phase. As soon as this project is done, I'm coming back to take over the family company." Before I could explain, Evan continued his comments. "An empty suit like you, all style and no substance, must have gotten the EA position in an unusual way. Clara, you should fire him. Having people like this in the company hurts the work environment. Make room for people who actually work hard." Clara frowned and tried to calm him down. "Evan, you've misunderstood. I hired Adam at a high salary. His professional abilities are just as good as mine." Her usually clear judgment seemed to have been affected by her feelings for him. She seemed unaware of Evan's negative attitude toward me. "Adam has been my executive assistant for 3 years, and his skills are excellent. From now on, he'll be supervising your internship. You should learn from him." Evan lifted his chin, looking at me with disagreement. "I graduated from UCLA. What basic college did he go to that he thinks he can teach me?" The room became very quiet. He seemed to think my silence meant I was intimidated. Finally, Clara broke the silence. "Adam has a PhD from MIT. Evan, you need to be more humble." Evan's face turned red, and he muttered, "It's just a foreign university. You can buy a degree like that. What's he showing off for?" He shook Clara's arm, his voice sounding upset. "Well, I'm still going to keep a close eye on him, so he doesn't get any chance to flirt with you." He saw himself as the main character in a story, who, after many challenges, would finally win the heart of the beautiful woman. And I was the obstacle standing in the way of his happiness. Clara rubbed her temples, her eyes asking me for help. I understood immediately. Solving the boss's problems was part of my job. I kept a smile on my face and said gently to Evan, "Mr. Evan, you've misunderstood. Ms. Reed and I have a purely professional relationship. If you don't believe me, I can show you my employment contract and our chat history for you to look at." Clara also took the chance to soothe him. "Evan, stop causing a problem. Go wait for me in the lounge. I'll be there as soon as I finish signing this contract." Evan was reluctantly convinced to leave, but not before giving me an angry look. Clara stopped me, her tone complicated. "I'm sorry you have to deal with this. Starting this month, I'm doubling your salary." As I left the office, Evan shot me a look of contempt and said loudly, "Adam, you should change out of those tight clothes. Who are you trying to attract, dressing so suggestively?" I looked down at my well-tailored but standard shirt and trousers, completely confused. Before I could respond, he continued his accusations. "You work out to get a good body, and then intentionally wear clothes that show it off. You're just trying to get people to stare, aren't you? Even if you're just a handsome face, you should have some professionalism at the office." This was my standard outfit for meeting clients. How could he describe it so negatively? Besides, what kind of handsome face stays up all night writing project proposals until the dark circles under his eyes are almost impossible to cover? Seeing Evan's persistent complaints, Clara sighed. "Adam, starting tomorrow, please wear a looser-fitting suit to work." I glanced at the very hot sun outside and nodded without showing any emotion. It would be a lie to say I didn't feel a bit hurt. Years ago, When I was very upset after my mother's death, I nearly fell into the water, and she saved me. That's why, when it came time to gain experience before inheriting the family business, I chose to come to her company. Even though her family's company was struggling back then, I stayed with Clara through the difficult times and helped bring it back from near failure. We were boss and subordinate, but also best friends and people who trusted each other. She had even once laughed and said that if we were both still single at 30, she would marry me and we'd have a huge wedding. I didn't take it seriously, but now I suddenly felt she wasn't as sharp as I remembered. Clara invited the CEO of Stellar Group to a reception at an exclusive private club. As the main leader of the project, I was also invited. What I didn't expect was to see Evan there too. He was dressed in flashy, expensive streetwear, sitting very close to Clara. As I was discussing project details, Clara nodded in agreement. Evan, probably feeling left out, remarked sarcastically, "Adam is so impressive, helping Clara get such a huge project. I bet you finalized the deal by drinking with all the bosses, one glass after another. Thanks for giving up so much for our company." The moment he finished, the private room went silent. I spoke calmly. "You're kidding, Evan. This project moved forward thanks to the good decisions of Ms. Reed and the other executives, as well as our team's professional proposal." Evan gave a suggestive smile. "I doubt that. A guy as capable as you must have been capable in other ways, too. You must be good at drinking. Stop acting modest and have a few rounds with the executives." He was making inappropriate jokes without any care. This wasn't just immature anymore. It was foolish. Clara's brow furrowed. "Evan, stop it." He acted annoyed, picked up a glass of wine, and held it out to me. "Clara, are you falling for this guy? Why are you protecting him from having a few drinks?" With that, he pretended to stumble, and the wine in the glass spilled all over my chest. The cold liquid immediately soaked through my shirt, showing the shape of my chest. He pretended to gasp, barely able to hide the mean smile on his face. "Oh, Adam, my hand slipped. I'm so sorry. Anyway, you have to drink with everyone later, so what's the difference if you're a little wet? It'll make things more interesting." The teasing and insults in his words were very sharp, as if I were some low person who willingly sold himself for business. Everyone had assumed Clara and I were more than friends, but not quite a couple. But only I knew that I truly saw her as a trusted partner, someone I could rely on completely. When the company's money ran out, I once worked for months, drinking so much to secure an investment that I ended up with stomach bleeding. And when I was caught in an earthquake on a business trip, she had rushed into the disaster area against the flow of people leaving to find me. Even my own father was surprised that someone as naturally cautious as me could trust another person so deeply. But now, she hadn't done a single thing to stop Evan's inappropriate behavior. I looked down at the mess on my chest, my expression turning cold. A few of the business partners started to ease the tension. "Evan, the joke has gone too far. Adam is our valued partner, not here to be your entertainment. Ms. Reed, you need to manage your people. Adam is the kind of talent we've been trying to hire for ages. You'd better appreciate him, Ms. Reed." The mockery Evan had expected didn't happen. Instead, everyone was confirming my professionalism. I looked up at Evan and smiled softly. "Since you're so eager for a drink, I'll join you." I had the waiter bring 2 large glasses and filled them to the top with expensive whiskey. Evan's face showed shock as he watched me drink the full glass of strong liquor without pausing. I pushed the other glass toward him. "I'm done. Don't tell me you're scared, Evan." When I was 3, I snuck into my father's wine cellar at our French estate and finished a whole bottle of expensive wine he'd been saving. This little bit of whiskey was nothing. Clara shot me a displeased look and said in a low voice, "Adam, stop joking. Nobody can drink like that without getting drunk." The moment she said it, I knew she was going to protect Evan. I put down my glass, nodded to the executives, and said politely, "Excuse me, I need to go clean up." Evan followed me into the restroom. "Adam, you must hate me, don't you? You've been by Clara's side for so long and couldn't win her heart. You're just someone to keep her company." Seeing I wasn't going to, "Respond!" Evan angrily tried to push me. I instinctively moved and he stumbled forward. Then he raised his hand and slapped himself across the face. I was stunned, watching as Evan ran out with tears in his red eyes. This is bad, I thought, following him back into the private room just as he threw himself into Clara's arms. "Clara, Adam hit me. I just wanted to go to the bathroom to apologize to him, but he called me your kept man and said I wasn't good enough for you." Clara froze, her eyes filled with shock and confusion as she looked at me. With his reddened eyes, he looked so pitiful, yet the words coming out of his mouth were a complete lie. Clara's brow furrowed as she looked at the crying boy in her arms, then asked uncertainly, "Adam, what really happened?" I laughed in frustration and sighed. "Ms. Reed, you really believe such a clumsy setup? We weren't the only ones in the restroom just now. Ms. Alvarez from Apex Holdings was there too. Why don't you go ask her?" Evan's crying stopped abruptly, his face turning pale. "Clara, men know men. He's only close to you because he has other motives. Adam looks down on me. He wants to be your man." Evan's words were making her flustered. She looked at me with a mix of questioning and disappointment. "Evan is still young and immature. Even if he said something wrong, you shouldn't have hit him." I remembered when a rival company paid someone to frame me during a business conflict. Back then, Clara had stood by my side without hesitation, declaring that she would always believe me. It seemed that even the strongest partnership couldn't withstand her being blinded by her feelings. Seeing my silence, Clara chose to smooth things over. She wrapped a comforting arm around Evan's shoulder, her voice tired. "Adam, it's a small matter. Do you have to make such an unpleasant scene in front of everyone? You're my employee. You should know better, do your job, and stop thinking about things that don't belong to you. This ends now. I want a written apology on my desk tomorrow." With that, she turned and left, taking the still sniffling Evan with her. I stood there watching them leave and let out a long breath. Mr. Chen, an associate I knew well, handed me a cup of tea. His words pointed. "A talent like you, Adam, why do you put up with these baseless accusations? The doors at Stellar Group are always open for you." For some reason, an image of the 20-year-old Clara flashed before my eyes. A determined young woman, unafraid even as her company was on the verge of failure. Her gaze was resolute as she pointed to the tallest skyscraper in the city. "Adam, I will make this company a name people respect again." She had achieved it, but in doing so, she had become someone I no longer recognized. She couldn't tell right from wrong, and she was no longer qualified to be my partner. I took out my phone and sent a text to my father. "Cancel the partnership with Reed. Enterprises next week. I'll announce it myself at the press conference." The signing ceremony with Stellar Group was held in the company conference room, with cameras and reporters aimed at the stage. I carefully checked the schedule and contract details, making sure everything was perfect. This was my last project at Reed Enterprises, and I had to see it through to a proper finish. Clara and Evan arrived together. Evan was dressed impressively today in custom-designed clothes, as if he wanted to show everyone he was in charge. The signing ceremony went smoothly until the final step, which required projecting the final version of the contract onto the big screen for signatures. Evan eagerly stepped forward to run the presentation. But the next second, A series of inappropriate photos appeared on the screen. The man in the photos, who had a face identical to mine, was naked and with different women in suggestive poses. The conference room fell silent, then erupted in shocked whispers. Evan sobbed in fake panic. "I pressed the wrong button by mistake. Adam, I'm so sorry. I didn't know you had so many private photos stored on your computer." He was pretending to apologize while spreading rumors, confirming that these photos were mine. At the very end, he even displayed a forged medical report. My name was written on it, and the diagnosis was a serious STD. Evan gasped dramatically. "Adam, I'd heard your private life was very messy, but I didn't think it was true. You won't infect the whole business community, will you?" He was using such a low method to ruin my reputation. I was overwhelmed by a massive sense of humiliation. Clara, her face pale, ordered the staff to turn off the screen, but the whispers and looks of contempt in the room were like knives stabbing at me. I didn't realize Adam was so open-minded in private. "He's got a great body. No wonder he climbed the ladder so fast. He has his special methods. He's embarrassed Ms. Reed and the entire company. He really is just someone who used personal methods to get to the top." The ceremony ended suddenly. I walked back to my office with my head held high, ignoring the murmurs. I didn't have many personal belongings, mostly just files and work notebooks. I calmly packed them into a box. There was nothing left here to hold on to. The office door was pushed open. Evan walked in confidently, chin held high. "Packing up to leave? How does it feel to be completely disgraced?" His fingers brushed across a trophy I cherished on my desk. It was the Emerging Entrepreneur of the Year award Clara and I had won together when we brought the company back from the brink of bankruptcy. She had insisted on having my name engraved on it too, saying half the credit belonged to me. Evan picked up the crystal trophy, a mean smile on his face. "Still keeping this piece of junk? You're not hoping Clara will feel sentimental, are you?" As he spoke, he made a motion to smash it on the ground. My eyes widened, and I instinctively took a step forward to stop him. "Put it down. Ms. Reed and I are just colleagues." He raised the trophy and slammed it into my forehead. A sharp pain shot through my head, and warm blood instantly blurred my vision. When Clara rushed in at the sound of the crash, Evan was already on the floor, crying out, "Clara! Adam said I was the one who embarrassed him, and he went crazy trying to beat me up." Clara seemed not to see the deep cut on my head or the blood streaming down my face. She reprimanded me. "Adam, what are you trying to do now? Haven't you made enough of a fool of yourself today? Report to the janitorial department tomorrow. I think you need to be taught a lesson. The company doesn't lack talent now. Don't think we can't survive without you." I was so numb, I couldn't even feel disappointment. I said flatly, "Don't trouble yourself, Ms. Reed. I quit. I wish you and Evan a long and happy life together." With that, I picked up my box and walked out of the place where I had worked hard for 5 years without a single look back. The biggest difference between Clara and me is that I would never let some temporary emotion interfere with my career. The next day was the press conference for the major partnership announcement between Reed Enterprises and Monarch Group. I appeared on site with a bandage on my forehead, dressed in a sharply tailored suit. When Evan saw me, he said loudly, "Adam, how dare you show your face here? Are you trying to beg Clara for forgiveness?" He waved at the nearby security guards. "Get this fired employee out of here. He doesn't belong here." Just then, my father walked over, surrounded by reporters and executives. I saw my good friend Ben in the crowd, and he gave me a little wink. Evan reflexively put on a flattering smile. "Mr. Thorne," before he could finish, to his complete shock, My father smiled and extended a hand to me. "I'd like to introduce everyone to my son, Adam Thorne. He will be formally taking over as the CEO of Monarch Group." The color drained from Evan's face as he stared at me in disbelief. "Impossible. How could you be Mr. Thorne's son? You're just a failure Clara fired. I get it. You dared to hire actors to trick everyone. You really are a scheming, manipulative person." Clara's face was serious. She pulled her arm out of Evan's grasp. She wasn't a fool like Evan. Before meeting him, she had been sharp and careful. How could the heir announced by the chairman of Monarch Group himself be a fake? But Evan seemed trapped in his own version of reality, unable to accept my change in status. He pointed a finger at my nose and yelled, "You're just an assistant who got ahead using personal methods. Those filthy pictures of you are all over the internet, and you still have the nerve to put on an act. I see what this is. You're jealous of me and trying to use these low methods to steal Clara. Away!" His voice was high with agitation, and a low murmur rippled through the crowd. No wonder Adam was so capable. He was the prince of Monarch Group, just gaining experience. Ms. Reed really misjudged this one. She offended a huge partner for the sake of a young boyfriend. I watched Evan's performance coldly and said in a low voice, "Evan, paranoia is a problem. You should get it treated." The words hit him like a slap, and he shut his mouth in humiliation. I didn't look at him again. I turned to the media and announced clearly, "In light of the management chaos at Reed Enterprises, as well as the severe damage to my personal reputation caused by its personnel, on behalf of Monarch Group, I am announcing that all previously agreed-upon partnership intentions with Reed Enterprises are hereby cancelled, effective immediately." Clara swayed, looking at me in disbelief. This decision would be enough to badly hurt her company. She couldn't believe I would be so decisive. She looked at me with pleading eyes. "Adam, I was wrong to let you get hurt before. For the sake of the years we worked side by side, please give Reed Enterprises another chance." She thought favoring Evan was just a small mistake, that once it was cleared up, I would forgive her, just like I always had. Her face, which I once found impressive, was now filled with nothing but desperation and calculation. I cut her off, my voice calm. "Ms. Reed, we were only ever colleagues. What bond are you talking about? Your company isn't some small startup. Even if this partnership falls through, there's no need to cling to it and become a laughingstock." Hearing my words, her familiarity with me from our 5 years together, made her instantly understand my meaning. She opened her mouth, but couldn't get a single word out. After a long moment, she finally asked, hesitantly, "Adam, will you ever come back?" My words shattered all her hopes. Of course not. I used to think that even after I took over my family's company, we could form a powerful alliance, but now it's clear you are no longer qualified to be my partner. Clara looked as if all the strength had been drained from her. She staggered back a step, the determination in her eyes completely gone. Evan, however, had recovered and glared at me. "Clara, don't beg him. We'll be fine even without the partnership with Monarch Group." Clara looked at him with disgust, pushed him away, and strode out. But her posture lacked its former confidence. She just looked defeated. This was the path she chose. We weren't a couple, but we were close partners. She was the one who broke that balance, allowing the boyfriend she supported to bully and undermine me. All I did was eliminate a potentially risky business partner. Ben came over to my side and joked, "Congratulations, Adam. You've finally passed your test," and returned. A few days later, I was in a video conference at home when I received an urgent call from Clara. Her voice was weak and pained. "Adam, I'm having an asthma attack, and I can't find my inhaler." Ever since she'd been rushed to the ER once, I had always carried her medication with me. Even though I wanted nothing more to do with her, a life was on the line. I impatiently ended the meeting, grabbed my car keys and the medicine, and ran out the door. The code to Clara's apartment hadn't changed. She was curled up on the sofa, struggling to breathe. I gave her the medicine and lit some calming incense. After a flurry of activity, her condition finally stabilized. I was about to leave when I ran into Evan coming back. He glared at me furiously. "Adam, what are you doing here? And you're in your pajamas. Where's Clara? What did you do to her? I knew you had bad intentions, hiding your identity to become her assistant." I had come in such a hurry I didn't even change. Now I couldn't be bothered to deal with him. I tried to walk past, but he grabbed my arm tightly. "You shameless person! The moment I'm not here, you come running over to flirt with Clara!" I forcefully shook his hand off, my face cold. "Show some respect, Evan. Clara begged me to come save her. Or did you want her to die?" His face twisted in rage. "Don't you lie to me. Clara is perfectly healthy. You're disgusting being in a woman's house dressed like that." I had completely lost my patience. I didn't want to waste another second on him and walked straight toward the door. My indifference infuriated Evan. He grabbed a fruit knife from the coffee table and lunged at me. "You're not leaving. I'm going to ruin that face of yours today and see how you flirt with Clara then." I hadn't expected him to pull a knife. I backed away, trying to reason with him. "Put the knife down. Assault with a weapon is a crime." But he just advanced, his face looking wild. "Clara will protect me. She wouldn't let me get arrested. Are you scared? Get on your knees and beg me. Slap yourself 100 times and I'll let you go." The next second he was kicked viciously to the ground, and the knife was snatched from his hand. "Evan? Are you insane?" Clara had been woken up by our argument and had stumbled upon the terrifying scene. Evan whimpered and rubbed his wrist as he climbed up from the floor. "Clara, he was bullying me. I was scared. That's why I grabbed the knife." I watched his seamless transition, amazed at his skill. Clara didn't even look at him. She rushed over to me, asking anxiously, "Adam, are you okay? Did he hurt you?" When I shook my head, she finally looked at Evan with disappointment. "Look at yourself. What have you become? You're full of lies. You tried to injure someone. That's a crime. Don't you understand? When you were working part-time at the coffee shop, your eyes were so clear and bright. I sponsored your education because I wanted you to become someone who could work alongside me. But after we got together, you became more and more arrogant and spoiled. If I hadn't donated money to your university, you wouldn't have even graduated. Evan, how did you turn into this?" Evan was stunned by her outburst. He blinked and said, "Clara, you're yelling at me. For him? You don't believe me?" Having detached herself emotionally, the rational Clara was no longer falling for his act. She cut him off sharply. "Enough. I'm not blind. The flowers you bought caused my asthma attack. I called Adam in a panic to save my life. You will apologize to him right now." Evan screamed, "No, I'm not wrong. Adam is just a lowlife trying to climb the social ladder." Clara closed her eyes. When she opened them again, her voice was resolute. "It seems we really aren't right for each other. Leave. Don't come back again. As for the company, I'll have HR send you a termination letter." I thought that would be the last I saw of Evan. But 2 days later, I discovered I had severely underestimated him. 3 of the top 5 trending topics online were about me. Monarch heir bullies coworker. Rich heir steals poor student's girlfriend. Adam Thorne, the other man. I clicked on them. The original poster claimed to be an insider. He wrote a long post claiming I had used my status as a corporate heir to hide my identity and get close to Clara at her company. He painted me as a wealthy person with bad intentions, who, rejected by Clara, became obsessed. The article said Clara didn't like me and had instead fallen in love with the pure and kind Evan. So, out of jealousy, I used my position to make Evan's life difficult. And finally, I used my family's power to force them apart at the press conference, breaking up the couple meant to be. Others chimed in the comments, saying they had seen me verbally abuse and even physically assault Evan at the office. People who didn't know the truth were cursing me for being cruel and malicious. A few colleagues who knew me tried to speak up for me, but their comments were quickly drowned out in the flood of hate. Clara's call came through, too. "Adam, I'm the one who brought this on you. I'm so sorry you're being slandered. Do you need me to cooperate with the company's legal department?" I sighed. "If you get involved now, it will only make it look more like I'm using my power to crush him. Evan says I'm a workplace bully who throws his weight around, right? Well, I'll let him taste his own medicine. But if this ends up affecting you, don't blame me." I had originally planned for a clean break. After all, Clara and I had worked side by side for years, and I didn't want to completely burn that bridge. But now, it seemed that wouldn't be possible. I didn't rush to issue a statement to refute the rumors. That would only make me look guilty. After gathering all the evidence, I posted a long article from my verified X account. No sob stories or complaints, just a clear chronological breakdown with supporting evidence. Explained that I joined Clara's company as part of my family's training program, with all the proper hiring documentation. News articles about me helping her bring the company back from near failure were publicly available online. I posted screenshots of some of my chat logs with Clara, which were all about work. The most personal line was her joke about marrying me if we were single at 30, to which I had replied, "You should probably focus on taking the company public first." Anyone could see our relationship was purely professional. I also included screenshots of Clara complaining to me about Evan's immaturity and thanking me for my patience. At the end, I wrote, "My relationship with Ms. Clara Reed has always been professional, and we have never crossed any boundaries. I have previously chosen not to pursue Mr. Evans' repeated provocations and slanderous behavior in the interest of peace. However, these recent false statements online have severely damaged my personal and my company's reputation. I will be pursuing legal action against him. The truth will speak for itself." As soon as the post went up, the narrative flipped instantly. Everyone was mocking Evan, calling him a drama queen with a Cinderella complex. Any rational person could see he had brought this on himself and was trying to drag me down with him. And I became the object of public sympathy. Some even joked about my hardship tour, a rich heir forced to work like a regular employee. When the police found Evan in the cheap rental apartment he was living in, he was still angrily blaming me, saying I had stolen everything from him and ruined his life. He never once thought he was in the wrong, blaming all his misfortunes on me. Such a selfish, warped person was both hateful and pathetic. The news of the canceled partnership had already hit Reed Enterprises hard, straining its cash flow. Now, this scandal involving the personal conduct of its management made investors wary. On top of that, many former partners, knowing I had fallen out with the company, pulled back, making a bad situation worse. The company's stock price began to plummet. A few days later, financial news reported that several of the company's projects had stalled. Banks were calling in loans, and it was on the verge of bankruptcy. Clara had to sell off her shares. When I saw the news, I felt nothing. She was the one who protected him. She had to bear the consequences. All I did was bring the truth to light to protect myself. My life returned to normal as I busied myself with the affairs of the corporation. Not long after, Reed Enterprises declared bankruptcy. I received a call from Clara. Her voice was weary, hoarse, and defeated. "Adam." She said my name, then fell silent. I didn't speak either. There was nothing left for us to talk about. Just as I was about to hang up, she spoke again, as if she had gathered all her strength. "Evan's gone. He was terrified after being released from custody. I've made things clear with him. He won't be coming back to the city." "You called me just to tell me this?" Evan's drama was over. His appearance had only accelerated my inheritance of the family business. The only real impact was the rift it created between Clara and me. She paused, her tone complex, a mix of emotion and self-mockery. "I saw your recent investment news. You're as brilliant as ever. I'm sorry about what happened." I chuckled softly, my voice flat. "It's all in the past." Silence on the other end of the line again. For a moment, all I could hear was the faint sound of her breathing. Suddenly, Clara summoned her courage, her voice trembling almost imperceptibly. "Adam, and I'm just saying, if there had been no Evan, could there have been even a small chance for us?" I cut her off, my voice firm. "There are no ifs, Clara. We were once great friends and work partners, but that's all it ever was. I'm very happy with my life now. I've already let go of the past." She let out a long sigh. "I understand. I wish you all the best." I paused for a second, then replied softly, "I hope you get back on your feet and find someone who truly loves you." Before she could reply, I hung up the phone. I put my phone down and walked to the massive floor-to-ceiling windows of my office. Looking out at the bustling city below, I let out a breath. The strange tightness in my chest finally began to fade, and I turned back to the project proposal on my desk. 6 months later, at an industry summit, I ran into Clara. She looked much thinner, and the fiery spirit in her eyes was gone, but she was with a gentle, intelligent-looking man dressed in a tasteful suit. Unlike Evan, he wasn't clinging to her. They exchanged a few quiet words, looking like both work partners and a developing couple. Our eyes met, and we gave each other a polite nod, like simple acquaintances. No greeting, no small talk. As we passed each other, I heard the man next to her ask in a low, curious voice, "You know Mr. Thorne? He's my idol." Clara's voice was calm. "He was once an incredibly brilliant partner of mine. I was the one who couldn't keep up." Hearing this, I didn't break my stride. Clara and I were not exes, nor were we enemies. The only relationship that had ever truly existed between us, in the end, was that of partners. I walked forward. There were new deals to close and new projects to launch. My future and my career were waiting for me.